I'm back. Built a new instrument. It's a Swedish bass Tagelharpa. I modified J. King's plan. I had previously built a horse-haired bowed lyre, a little bit smaller, and was cruising around on YouTube and found people building these instruments and putting regular cello strings on them. And I'm like, that was what was missing. Now, there are some people who can play brilliantly on these things with traditional horsehair strings, and they get a great sound. But I thought, I'm just going to try to modify it a little bit to see what kind of sound I can get. So it's not traditionally built in the sense that it's hollowed out of one piece of wood and then a top put on. This is built basically kind of like modern instruments are built. Basically, there's a bar up here. There's a very substantial end block in here. Then I wrapped a single piece of cherry, 2-inch, all the way around. It's got traditional kerfing in there to hold on the back, which is mahogany, and the top, which is Sitka spruce. Made a big body because I wanted to see what volume I could generate with something like this. If it works out, I maybe decorate a little bit. I didn't do fancy F-holes or anything like that. Primarily concerned with structure because I built this relatively thin. I did put a bass bar on this side, the longer, traditional for stringed instruments. It's a bass bar on the bass side, and you'll find it in violins, violas, cellos, basses. And then there's a sound post that should have gone underneath here, but I haven't put a sound post in yet. I'm not sure it's necessary. I did add another brace because I made the instrument so long. So there's just 2 braces in it. But there is a 10mm carbon fiber rod right down the middle of the instrument, joining the end block and this big massive piece of walnut up here that makes the top block. Okay, so that's doing the work. That carbon fiber rod, even though I don't think it would be collapsing, it's going to keep it from collapsing. So it's kind of a nice platform. I've got 1/4-inch cello strings on it, quarter-size cello strings, I should say. And I set the bridge for about 22-inch scale, but it's really kind of like 21.5. But I have some wiggle room here. I can move this bridge back and forth and find out where, it wants to live. If you do build one of these, regular violin tuners right here will work on the cello strings, the cello string ends. These are 1/4 size. I don't have the gauges yet. I'll figure that out and put them below. But this is the second string, the bass string. The first string. Well, this is the first string on the instrument, but it's the second string on the cello. This is the 4th string on the cello, or the bass, so the bass is in the middle. And then you've got the second string on the cello as this 3rd. Okay, and the tuning I have it in is C3, C2, and G2. Okay, so just throwing that out there. I turned a violin fingerboard upside down to make my tailpiece. Kind of a primitive construct there, but still. And I wanted to build it light. I wanted to get resonance out of this thing and see, so you can kind of see, I don't know, the tops maybe. At some point it's really pretty thin, millimeters here and there. I know that the sides are 2 millimeters or less. It's one big piece been bent, and this is like 3/4 pieces of cherry. Again, these are inset into that big block. You can see how big this block is. It's 2 inches thick, and it goes down about like that, so that's pretty substantial. Like I said, then there's another one down here that's moon shaped, crescent moon shaped, that fills in the bottom. and gives me strength here. I turned an ebony end pin, stuck it in there. Very crude. I mean, it will be refined, but I wanted to get it together and see how it sounded, see if it was going to work. This is Cocobolo cross piece here with regular cello tuners, or bass tuners, guitar bass tuners that I got off Amazon. I left these long right now because I might be doing some experimentation. I don't want to snip them and not be able to take the strings on and off. So I did do some dowel work there just to secure the tops, but this is just a 45 glued down, so there's not a whole lot. You know, it's very light. It's not built out of the solid thing. The bow is just quite primitive. But the key is, or at least my limited experience with bowed instruments, is the bow is very critical. And you want to have a good weighted bow so that you're not having to press down on the strings, you know, because if you're trying to press to get the strings to sound, you're having less control over how you're going to be able to manipulate the strings musically. So anyway, but this is suffice to get a sound out of it. I do have a half size cello bow on order. I'm hoping it is a good weight, and we'll see how that sounds with it. Other thing I was thinking about is, you know, I have played around a little bit with my finger to, you know, note it, but I've had some good success with clarity of tone in using like a metal finger pick, because that gives you, kind of creates a fret for you, you know, so you get a clearer sound. Let's see if I can do this. Tune a little bit when I knocked it, but you get the idea. So, you know, you could make yourself like a ceramic slide, you know, with a groove in it that just fits your finger right, so you can slide up and down. We'll see. And then, of course, you've got to electrify it. That's quite wild. So there you guys go. Any questions, you can post them down in the comments. I appreciate the gentleman I reached out to. He gave me some tips on, you know, what string gauges or what size cello strings he used. He recommended going to a quarter size cello strings instead of eighth, which has to do with the functional scale length, right? So, you know, you got about a 19 3/4 inch length for your scale on your quarter-inch cello string. So it's important that you get something that's compatible to the length of the scale that you're working with, because it affects how your strings are going to tune up and stuff like that. So, but yeah, these are really cool instruments. I'm kind of glad I've got something that's, you know, I might be able to work with here, and it just won't sound completely horrible. The horsehair strings was really the challenge the first time, and I made them way too thick. You know, I've watched YouTube videos since then, getting them finely twisted and getting the right thickness is critical to getting a good sound. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for people who are interested in this kind of stuff. It's amazing how the little tip, can really help and save you a lot of agony, and then ultimately get you an instrument that has, a sound. You can see how thin that top is. Again, the whole idea is I want resonance. And again, the bridge is flat, so all the strings are in line so that they're all sounding as the bow is going across. If they're uneven, if they're arched, like a regular traditional bowed instrument, you're only going to be able to play one or two at a time instead of getting this nice chorus effect. All right, well, enough of that. Happy playing.